Was that recording? Lots of energy. Feel the flow, feel the burn. Hello folks, Jon Goldstein here. Long time no see. Want to give you an update on where we are on this one-of-a-kind build on this 1950 Spartan Royal Mansion. Let's take a look. You saw this vintage 1950s trailer, all of the paint that was on the top and on the rear was all peeling, flaking, corroding, crumbling out, and we came back, we sandblasted it, we sealed all the seams, and when we sprayed it with a tintable bed liner and we made it look white and bright so it can reflect the heat and keep all those elements out. So right here at the rear of this vintage trailer, when we sandblasted it and we got through all those layers of that nastiness, there was more nastiness. It was caved in, it was not round, it was not flat. Man, the painters had a bunch of work ahead of them. They blocked this, they got this smooth again, and then like I said, we came back and we added this nice texture coat to seal it up and make it look great. One of the other challenges of this build is not only was there water coming in on the roof, there was water coming in all on the sides, mainly from these windows. This window is no longer going to go up and down, so we're going to put a fixed panel in there so that way we don't have any leaks coming in there. But all of the other windows, when they installed them, there was no sealant in any of these gaskets. So all of these windows were leaking. And like we always tried to do here at Leisure Coachworks, we try to make everything look like it was supposed to be that way. We've come back and we've added a new panel because when we took this out, there was cuts here, it was just horrible, and we needed to start over. So right now we're waiting on the rivets, but we got all those holes pre-drilled so we can come back, put in the rivets, make it line up with the flow of this vehicle, make sure everything we do looks like it was supposed to be that way. What the hell do we have here? Why is there a big framed opening on the side of this vintage trailer? Because the last time they did it, when they made the frame and talked about trying to do those doors, they didn't tie it into the chassis like they were supposed to. They weren't supporting the roof like they were supposed to, and this vehicle was all twisted. When we came in and we started trying to take this thing apart, we saw this was at a square, the coach was leaning in one direction, and the way these vintage trailers are built, all of this skeleton that's on the inside of this skin helps support the exterior frame resting on the floor just above the chassis, trying to make sure everything is flat, square, as close to level as possible, and that is not what was the case on this trailer. Something that is totally unique to this vehicle is what we did just inside of here. Let's go take a look. What you see here is definitely not standard equipment on a normal trailer. And why is because you normally don't have C-channel supporting an electrically driven system that will raise and lower an independent chassis that we made that houses the axles and the leaf springs, making it so pretty much it goes down to a certain height when it needs to roll and up to a certain height when it needs to park. So normally when you're driving, you're not down in this location. These are our main rails, but we made our main rails go up and down. And this is gonna come up to right around here in the standard travel position. We came back, we added Teflon to try to limit how much it'll twist. We've added rollers to try to guide those pieces so they can't bend and twist, because one of the other things that made this difficult is when you pivot a trailer with the front and these axles try to twist, you have to be able to support this, which is why the standard hydraulic setup probably was not going to work in this application. And you know what? Standard hydraulics, there's no standard hydraulics to put on a trailer to make it go up and down, in and out of the chassis. They don't exist. To try to give this customer what they really wanted and try to get this up into the right height that they wanted, this going up and down was not enough by itself. We came back We got the smallest tire we can get on this wheel. We had custom axles made that are no longer straight tube axles. We have special drop spindle axles that are custom made for this vehicle. So yeah, I know all that stuff looks cool. We talked about drop axles, we talked about smaller tires, and we talked about how the chassis used to be up here. What is that gonna do? That's gonna make these tires come up, live inside of here instead of down there. And do you want to see it happen? Let's go hit the switch. Let me show you how low she can drop. Where are the tires? They're gone. They're all up in there. She's low. We dropped her over 15 inches so you can do this. No steps are needed. Ba-bama! Now that we're inside, you can really see the change on how much those axles came up. Here's that main rail, a little bit higher than a standard rolling position, but up all the way. We bottomed out on the axles, we hit our reinforcement down here, and that's the end of how far she'll go. Now that we've kind of showed you the cool, fascinating part about this, let's also talk about what makes the inside of this vehicle different than your standard 1950 Spartan Royal Mansion. Last time you saw the inside of this, it had all those panels that were all rotten, and we've tore all that out, exposed the water damage, and we've mocked up what this customer wants to have. And we're putting it into the space to make sure and fine-tune that design to make sure it's exactly what they want. Let's talk about the details. Over here, this is where they're gonna boom, land that cart. When they're not working, they're gonna come over and they're gonna sit in this lounge area, sit on that beautiful brown sofa. We'll make sure to change that out. The inside is going to be lined with stainless steel panels. Over here, we're going to have a cabinet with 2 doors with plenty of storage, a little nook over here in the back for the people that are sitting down. Over here, we're going to have a broom closet with a mop to make sure you're ready for whatever spills your way. Over on this side, you're going to have 2 sliding doors that are going to hide all of the chips and cookies and granolas and this yummy snacks that this thing is going to deliver. Over here, this is what's going to hide the electrical panel and all of the switches and controls to make this thing safe and only operate when the right person presses that button. In this area, they want us to do custom ducts to where we relocate the way the air is coming out, and we make room in the top for a lighted logo that represents their brand. Over here in the cutout, this is where the serving's gonna happen. This is where the trash is gonna go. Over here, you're gonna have recycling and compost. And then over here in this area, you're gonna have coffee fresh off the tap. You're gonna have soft serve ice cream and a cooler with lots of beverages. Over here, you're gonna have built-in fresh ice, always ready, nice prep area, and an area to always make sure your hands are nice and clean. Last time you saw this front, we had built-in shelves and an overhead storage. We're gonna come back and we're gonna build a shelf. Over here in this area is where we're gonna make a custom tank to house all the water that comes off that sink. And in this area, we have this mock-up. We're gonna have 2 refrigerators down below and 2 on the top, making sure they got plenty of stuff nice and cold. Stay tuned and see how we finish this off, make it everything that company can't live without, and it's ready to go feed their troops and get them back to their desks with full bellies. Like, follow, and subscribe. Click on that bell to get notified of when this update comes out next, or if you're in Fontana, California, stop on by. Here at the end of this Twinkie, you got 2 holes and a button. Where's the floor? Where is the floor? Why the hell is the floor out? Porthole, starboard side. No, you don't click first. You like, then you follow, then you subscribe, then you click on that bell to get notified. It's fun to stand in front of a camera and talk about what you're doing. Hey, Mr. Cannon, are you recording?
Yes.
You sure? We're missing a bunch of lug nuts, but at least those 3 are tight. Working on some bloopers because everybody says they love the bloopers. That was the money shot.